Hi, I'm Imogen. Thanks for clicking on this video. If you're new, then welcome. I make plant-related content here on YouTube every Friday, and if you've seen my videos before, then welcome back. Today I have what I think will be quite an exciting video, and that is going through my entire Hoya collection. I've done videos about an entire genus before with Peperomia and Tradescantia, but I've got a feeling that this one will probably have the most interest. In my collection of Hoya, I have rare ones as well as common ones, and full plants as well as some cuttings. So I'm going to go through them, speak about them a little bit, but hopefully not too much because otherwise this video could be like an hour long. I have Hoya on two tables beside me. I'm kind of surrounded by them at the moment, so let's get on with the video. Starting with the oldest Hoya in my collection, I have this Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen. This was what started off my sort of love of Hoyas. It was the first Hoya that I had to flower, and I didn't even get this a year ago. I got this in September last year. I actually filmed a video of shopping where I bought this. That was one of my first planty videos, so the audio and video isn't great, but if you'd like to see that, I'll link it. This is probably my longest Hoya. So here are her vines. This is the longest one. I have got a peduncle on there. I don't know if it's gone or if it will bloom, but either way we've got lots of leaves. I've just noticed another peduncle just there on the very end of the stem, but she is my favourite. I'll probably say that about a lot of them, but she's just glorious. She sits on top of my IKEA greenhouse cabinet and just puts off lots of lovely leaves. I do have a stem of just white pinky leaves, which definitely doesn't grow as fast as the others, and the rest have the kind of classic Carnosa Crimson Queen colouring with green in the middle and then white variegation on the edge of the leaves. On top of my cabinet, she is maybe a metre or so away from the floor, so when she gets a bit longer I'll probably have to cut and propagate her, but then she'll be a bit fuller, which will be nice. So we've done the Crimson Queen, so let's go on to the Crimson Princess. This is my Hoya Carnosa Crimson Princess. It doesn't really look it, but that's what it was sold to me as, so that's what I'm deciding to call her. It may just be a standard Carnosa at this point, but I'll wait until a few more leaves come out to kind of make that decision. I got this as a cutting from Etsy from a shop called Pop It Plants. I can't remember if it was unrooted or rooted when I got it, but I did do a big unboxing. I probably should have looked at that before I did this video, but it just had two leaves at that point. She's since put out two more. I did put her up in winter, so it's only just sort of come around to growing season again for this one, and I think she's finally kind of settled into a pot. Obviously she's only small at the moment, but we do have a tendril coming off, and I think I can see the start of some leaves forming, so hopefully we'll get a few more by the time summer is done. Next I have this big one. So this is a Hoya Curtisii. This was one of my 2021 wishlist plants, so I bought it along with my Alocasia Frydek as a birthday present to myself. At the time it was quite expensive, or at least what I consider to be expensive for a plant, at $49.99, but I know the price has come down quite a lot, so you're probably able to pick this up for £20 or £30 now. I love the spade-shaped leaves on this plant. They also feel more textured than most of my other Hoya leaves, and they have a little bit of speckled splashing across the leaves as well. I think along with my Linearis, which I'll get on to showing you, I think that this is probably one of the most unique Hoyas that I have because of the leaf shape and how kind of dainty it looks. I have had quite a good success rate in propagating this. It puts off aerial roots all along the stems, and I've just popped them in perlite, and most of them have rooted, so I've got a few baby Curtisii as well. But yeah, they're nowhere near as impressive as this main mother plant, which I really love and I found to be fairly easy to care for one of the rarer plants. I just mentioned the Linearis, so let's talk about that one next. This is my beautiful Linearis. I adore this plant. The leaves are so unique. They are like long, sort of drops as opposed to your, I guess, normal oval leaf shape. Bought this from a local plant shop. I think it was £20. It did already have quite a lot of vines, but some of them have just grown loads. Here is the longest one, and yeah, it just sits on a shelf above a grow light. Doesn't get much light from the grow light actually, and it just seems to be throwing off new leaves constantly, and I just love how it looks. This is another one that I've had success at propagating, so I have a few little ones of that as well, but like with the Curtisii, this is so full at the top already that I'll probably just give them away or sell them rather than needing to fill out the pot at all. I doubt there's any room for any more stems in there. I don't think I mentioned, but the leaves are kind of soft and fluffy as well. I just think this plant is beautiful, and again, if you don't have it, I really recommend getting it. Next, I have a kind of classic looking Hoya. So this is my Hoya Gracilis. I bought this from a garden centre for £9.99 on a bit of a whim, to be honest, but she's a lovely plant and I'm really glad to have her. So the Gracilis does have that kind of classic leaf shape that I was talking about before. They're just oval with a nice point at the end. The leaves are very flat, which I guess makes it different to a Hoya Carnosa, and they do have a little bit of speckling on as well. I might be wrong, but I think this Hoya Gracilis is also known as a Hoya Memoria, so you might recognise it as that instead. She's got a few vines in there around this side. I did really want her to sort of grow a lot more, and I thought it could be like the Carnosa Crimson Queen with lots of vines trailing down, but she hasn't done that much for me yet despite being under a grow light, so maybe I need to move her around a bit. Saying that, she hasn't given me any trouble at all. As with I think all of the Hoya, I just bottom water them when the pot feels light, and although I don't think she's given me much new foliage, she hasn't died, so that's a win. Sticking over on this table, next up is my Hoya Carnosa Krinkle. I didn't get this that long ago. I bought it from a local plant shop for £6. I don't think it has grown much at all, but it's probably still acclimatising to my house rather than the plant shop. Like with the Gracilis, I did kind of buy this on a whim, but I really love the leaves. They are a lovely glossy dark green and have little dimples in, which obviously give the plant the name Krinkle. My plant is quite kind of short and dense at the moment, but I think it looks quite nice beside other trailing plants. Next up, I have some Hoya Bella cuttings. Hopefully you can just about make them out in this bag. I've just got it in here to keep the humidity up as they hopefully grow roots. I got the Hoya Bella cuttings from someone on my local plant swap group in exchange for some other Hoya cuttings actually, and I just cut it up into 4 different cuttings and popped them all in this little pot of soil. I've always admired the look of the Hoya Bella but hadn't bought my own plant, so when someone pasted these I thought, oh yeah, I'll just grow them from cuttings instead. I'm hoping that these will grow fairly fast, so I'll have a nice bushy pot of cuttings, and I'll definitely keep you updated on progress in my current propagation series. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe and keep an eye out for those. But I think that's it for my Hoya Bella cuttings. Next up, I have another Hoya which I grew from a plant swap cutting, and that is this, which I think is a Hoya Australis. I propagated this in perlite and just recently potted it up into a nice chunky soil mix. So for the moment it's still quite small, but the roots grew really fast, so I'm hoping that'll be an indicator that its leaves will grow fast as well. Don't know if that's actually a thing or I've just made it up, but hopefully it's true. While this is rooting, I kept it in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, so I might keep it in there for now, but none of my other Hoya live in there, so I might have to make space outside of the cabinet for it. Another Australis I have is this Hoya Australis Lisa. Bought this as a small rooted plant on a Facebook group and she's doing great. We've got a couple of new leaves here at the top. This does sit quite near to a grow light, actually on the trolley behind me there. So that's probably why they've come out quite pink toned, as well as the fact that Hoya Australis leaves do come out pink anyway. Hopefully it'll keep that kind of red tone because I do think it's really pretty, but if not, I like these mature leaves as well. This plant is in pon, which I'm just about getting to grips with as a substrate, so I'll probably do a video about it when I get more confident with it and have a bit more experience. For me, this is probably quite a good Hoya to learn about pon with because it seems a fairly forgiving plant and also quite quick growing. From the same seller, I also bought this Hoya Sunrise. It definitely is a Hoya Sunrise, even though the leaves don't really look like it at the moment. I think I need to sun stress it a bit more to bring out that lovely orangey tone. So I have got this sat under a grow light, and I think the stem has got slightly longer. No sign of any new leaves yet, but hopefully I won't have long to wait. Again, this is in pon. I think the seller of these plants has all of her plants in pon, and it's climbing up this little sort of trellis made out of copper wire, which I might have to readjust when it gets a bit longer. The final plant I got from that seller is this little Hoya Wayetii. This is in a mixture of pon and leca, but I've been treating it the same as the Hoya in pure pon, and she has definitely treated me to a bit of new growth. It probably won't pick up on the close-up, but I can see it's there. This is another Hoya with, I guess, a kind of unique leaf shape in that they are very long and thin, although not as thin as the Linearis. The leaves on the Wayetii are a really lovely green with a kind of darker green, almost black colour around the margins of the leaf, which is really pretty. Again, I think that it will trail with time, but I've probably got quite a bit to wait for this one to get to a decent sort of size for trailing. However, I do have this Hoya Wayetii Variegata, which is definitely trailing. I didn't get this much longer after the other Hoya Wayetii, and it looks a bit pathetic when compared to this, but it's absolutely stunning. I've got it in this little face pot, so it kind of looks like hair. It was also a bargain. I got this for £12 from a local plant shop, as their supplier I think made a bit of a mistake with the pricing, but it's a real beauty. I adore the variegation in the leaves. It makes it look so interesting with the kind of green and cream, almost sort of pinky toned on some of the leaves, which would probably come out more if I was to give it more light, but I only have a certain amount of space under my grow lights, so for now this is a little bit further away, but I might do a bit of a reshuffle to kind of bring out that pink a bit more. This again seems like a fairly straightforward plant in terms of care. The leaves are a bit squishy, so I do need to give this a water, and then they will kind of firm back up again. I've got two more plants to show you. So first of all is this Hoya Sp Burtoniae. I think the Sp means affiliated with the species, so it's related to the usual Hoya Burtoniae, but I think it's a different plant. When I looked it up online, there was a lot of information, but that's what I think this is, and it's another trailer. So I bought this from a garden centre. It was half price, so it's £17.50. It is mislabelled as a Hoya Sangii, but I know it's not that. And when I bought it, I didn't actually know anything about this plant other than the fact it was half price and that it has some really pretty leaves. The leaves are quite a light green with a maroony purple margin, and the newer leaves do look a bit more purpley, which is really lovely. They are also quite soft in a similar way to the Linearis is. There are little hairs on the leaves, which do have a name that I've forgotten, but I'll hopefully remember by the time I'm editing this video. And with that kind of fuzziness, this almost feels like a fake plant, but it's definitely not. This is the only Hoya in my collection which has a bit of a different care schedule. So it is rooted in bark, so I do kind of dunk the pot in water when I want to water it, which is a little bit more often because it can't hold the moisture as well as the plants in soil do. But we seem to be getting on all right other than that. One thing with this is that when I have cut the stems for propagation, it does have a kind of white sap come out. So that can be a little bit messy. It kind of reminds me of the little tree euphorbias as they do the same thing. And yeah, that's my Hoya Sp Burtoniae. And then the final Hoya, hopefully this video isn't too long yet, but this is a really new one to me. I actually only got it today, and I did do an unboxing which I think should have gone up before this video, so you can see my first reactions to it if you watch that. But this is a Hoya Krohiana Eskimo. It is a beautiful sort of silvery green leafed Hoya with the more classic green as speckles. The leaves aren't very big either, they're just the classic oval shape with a little point, and I just think it's really pretty. Obviously, since I've just got it, I can't give you any information about the care of this, but the leaves feel quite sturdy, so I reckon it'll be a similar thing to most of my other plants where I water it when the pot gets light and or the leaves are a bit squishier. This was $19.99 and I bought it off eBay because it's one that I haven't really seen in shops before, and hopefully it will like its new home. And that is all of the Hoya which I currently own. So I think it was about 14 different varieties. I do have smaller pots of the ones that I've propagated, but I thought I'd just show you the kind of big decent specimens I've got of those instead. I think I'm definitely kind of in the midst of my Hoya phase at the moment, but there aren't any I'm kind of currently lusting after. If you think I'm missing any classics, then tell me in the comments. I guess the Hoya pubicalis and the Carnosa compacta are more common ones which I'm missing. Actually no, the Hoya Carnosa compacta variegata would be a dream plant, but at the moment they're quite expensive and they also grow really slowly. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's too many on my radar. I did have one of the Hoya, which was a Hoya Australis Bordvare tricolour. I think it was quite similar to the Hoya Australis Lisa. I received that as a rooted cutting, and I think I probably just overwatered it, so it kind of shriveled up and died. But touch wood, I haven't had any problems with any of my other Hoya. If you've made it to the end of this video, then thank you so much for watching. If you want me to go in detail about any of these Hoya, then I would love to do that in another video. But I just kind of wanted to get through them all for this collection, and hopefully it wasn't too long. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more planty content, I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel, as I post videos every Friday and sometimes more often. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye!